I'd like to invite Vittee, who's going to share a presentation with us. And unfortunately, her principal couldn't be here with us tonight, but I am sure that the story is just going to be amazing as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Honorable MEC, Advocate Madonsela, Louise van Rijn, and all guests. So I stand as a lonesome person here tonight, but I must give all acknowledgement to the principal of Fairview High School, Mrs. Kruger. Unfortunately, she could not be here tonight, but I've just seen with the passion and the drive, what you're about to witness tonight is all evidence of one individual who will drive the school in the sense that, from a leadership perspective, unassuming lady, absolutely unassuming, but with such determination. From a business perspective, we know that we cultivate plans, but in essence, unless it's executed, therein lies the tangible results. So who is Mrs. Kruger? 18 years in Fairview Primary School, 13 years of which she's been a principal. There are 625 learners from grade R to grade 3, 17 educators, 6 support staff. I think what is of significance, it is a no-fee school, so their total reliance is on a budget allocated by the department. So just a bit on my company or my organization. It's a company called Quest. It's a staffing solutions organization. So I've been in business for just over 27 years. At Quest, we assess and deploy more than 25,000 candidates. Why did I get involved? Well, the business has been in existence for over 42 years. Every single day, thousands of young people enter our workplace, all looking for job opportunities and looking for hope. What we pick up in most instances is that there's an absolute deficiency from an education perspective. So while we're involved in many CSI initiatives, the Partners for Possibility, just as a personal leader, I felt I could really influence my workplace, but not only influence the workplace, but make a meaningful difference at source, which is at the education level. I can just share with you, as a leader who's been in business for over 27 years, I have learned so much. It has changed my view of the world. It has changed me as a person. My workplace is better just from accessing and tapping into the education system and translating that learning. Sorry about that. I'm trying to navigate too. So vision, we have a vision at the school to create an opportunity for learners to learn effectively. Not a complicated vision, just simple. It's centered around the learners. The vision of the school, or the mission rather, high educator and learner touch time, educators to teach every single day. We've seen a direct correlation with teaching time and how it's influenced the learner outputs. Some principles is that education is about children, so the underpin is that we love children. We understand what we're dealing with. What does that mean? The school is in a very impoverished environment. Some of the social stats is that more than 75% of the community is unemployed. Economically, it's quite dire. But notwithstanding that, we said we have to be visionary. We have to initiate in rebuilding the school. We also believe that you can reshape our nation by enabling the children. So we looked at the stakeholder group. Of importance certainly is that the MEC's 10-pillar plan, we understand that that's the strategy that drives the school. We have 4 critical stakeholder groups: the learner first and foremost, the management, which includes the SGB and the school management, parents and community. And what is important is that while there's a contextual environment, it's also a critical stakeholder. Time to think, flawless consulting on community building. When we approached the school and we saw the task was so mammoth, how were we going to approach this? Through Partners for Possibility, we underwent some workshops and applied the learning in what I'm about to share with you. So Time to Think, fabulous, just made us all listen more and active listening and making sure we embrace the community. Flawless consulting, critical interventions there on how you contract for performance and community building. How do you rope in and draw in the community to build a sustainable school going forward. So this is the 10-pillar plan. I'm certainly not going to go through it. It talks about curriculum development, talks about social cohesion, access to quality education. So what we did is when we devised the plans in the school, the idea was that we will draw strong linkages to the 10-pillar plan. So let's go to the learners. The one thing we knew, we needed to influence the learner participation. And the way you do it, the school had values, but they were just arbitrary words that was sort of scattered around the school. We knew to influence change, you needed to change behavior. And we started to inculcate the values in the school amongst the learners. You can see evidence where every learner adopted the change and manifested it in their behavior. Discipline was an important thing in the school. We found out there was a lot of bullying going on, and we needed to align that to the code of good practice from the department and make sure that it inculcates the learning from the teachers and the learners. And what was important that we picked up is that children started to mirror what was happening in their outer environment. We needed to fundamentally change that from within. We brought in the Teddy Bear Clinic. We brought in Dr. Stewart. She was a clinical psychologist. And all she did is she socialized the kids to what was inappropriate behavior in terms of their bodies, what was important for them to realize when things were untoward. And we needed, as young as they were, in terms of grade R and up to grade 3, the children really adopted and took to that. And it was amazing, the translation, when this was revealed. What we also found, and what was of paramount importance, is that there was a direct correlation to the kids who could read, their literacy levels, to their education and how they performed in the class. So what was important was to create a culture of reading in the school. And we every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the children would stand up, and we just saw how they loved it. They loved the reading, they loved the comprehension, they could share the stories, and all of a sudden, reading became something they absolutely delighted in. They would stand in front of their peer group and read. And it became such a joyous time as opposed to a mundane task. Our senior management team was, we looked at priorities in terms of the IDSO and the 10-pillar plan, made sure that they knew what they were contracted for, trained them on how to teach and how to foster the reading, particularly in the English language. And then one big thing, the school was underperforming on their annual national assessment results. We needed to change that in the school. Job description, what we picked up, that if people didn't know what was expected of them, how would they excel? So we contracted accountabilities for the teachers, particularly the HODs or the SMMT groups, problem solving. They would walk in with their problems. Principal had to always solve the problems. There was no empowerment per se. And what we picked up is that the principal was feeling very comfortable to sort out all the problems. The moment you initiated the SMTs to take ownership of that, it was unbelievable how things turned around. They became problem solvers. Regular feedback, it was just flowing one way. When we inculcated feedback, we just saw how the richness of the school, just with dialogue happening and feedback. What's been brilliant is that the annual results improved from a 42% to a 54%, and year on year that will increase. Thank you. Parent and community. I'm trying to get my headspace around this. Okay. So the one thing we found, there was no parental involvement. The parents felt that once they left their children at school, in fact, their responsibility had come to an end. We knew we needed to draw the parents in. And what was the greatest opportunity was the 67 minutes on Mandela Day. We brought the parents in, got them involved. The school was, when we entered the school, it was festered with rodents and litter. And the one thing from a business partnership perspective, we said if children were exposed to that in their environment, when they came to school, a place where there was safety, a place where there was education, we needed to turn that around. They needed to come in and see that that was not normal. And we started to inculcate in the school, brought the parents in, we painted the school and it looked beautiful. There was a national workshop scheduled. Oh, before I go there, let me share with you. We did a 67-day Mandela Day, and every parent, we painted a wall white, Every parent did a visible, they painted their hands, as you can see there, and each parent's hand has their child's name written at the bottom. And the kids would come and say, that's my dad's hand, that's my mom's hand. And you cannot believe, in terms of social cohesion, what they did for the school. Parents became active participants in their children's school. You can see the school, I don't know if you can see from the top, the school is absolutely pristine now. There is no litter, the parents feel involved. There was a workshop scheduled, we sent out invitations, the principal did. We had an 86% response rate, unheard of in the past. The feeding scheme, so only part of the school was on a feeding program. We've expanded that program, created more access, and now at least 80% of the children get access to a meal every single day. JHB High School is JHB Girls, partnership program with JHB Girls. Every Wednesday there's a nutritious meal. The grade 12s of JHB Girls come out, each class, they feed the class kids. It's been just unbelievable. The grade 11s and 12s has also partnered with the school and getting children reading. So it's been such a great model from almost a dichotomous school where there's a rich or a Model C and a very poor impoverished school. But that partnership has just been absolutely amazing from what we've seen. Environment and infrastructure, we take things for granted, I suppose. There's a leaking roof, and it just continued. There was a patchwork. One thing we made is that if children were in there, we could not get them exposed when it was the rainy weather. We had the school completed, the roofs fixed, revamped the school hall so that when it was cold and rainy, kids could go in there. We had a lovely function for them. They are so proud of their school. Litter awareness continues, and what's been brilliant is, as you can see, the roof is all immaculate, painted and fixed. School looks lovely. The one thing also we will implement in November this year, a proper library. We'll incorporate an ICT to facilitate kids. A lot of them have not seen tablets in their life, have not have access to technology. We will start drawing them in and facilitating that whole process so that you can wave them into a sort of a mainstream. Once they get into school, in the world of work, they have access to the ICT. It sounds like a business presentation. Sorry. Thank you very much.